The escape pod hit the ground hard. Metal twisted and groaned. Sparks flew from broken panels. Inside, Dr. Jisoo Park held on for her life as the pod tumbled down a rocky slope. She felt pain shoot through her leg when something heavy broke free and pinned her down. When the pod finally stopped moving, Jisoo could only hear her own breathing and the hiss of broken pipes. The air smelled of burned wires and fuel. She was alive, but she was also alone. "Hello? Anyone?" She called out, her voice shaking. No answer came back. She had been on the research ship Horizon with 20 other scientists. They were studying Pyra 4, a planet no human had ever set foot on. Their mission was to observe from orbit, but something had gone wrong. An explosion, alarms, people running. Jisoo remembered being pushed into an escape pod by Captain Lee just before another blast rocked the ship. Now she was on the surface of Pyra 4, a place where humans were not supposed to be. Jisoo tried to move her leg. Pain made her gasp. She looked down and saw blood soaking through her pants. With shaking hands, she opened a small med kit that had survived the crash. Inside were some bandages and pain medicine. Not enough for serious injuries, but better than nothing. After treating her leg as best she could, Jisoo checked what else had survived. The pod's radio was smashed. The emergency beacon was damaged, but might still work if she could fix it. She had food and water for maybe 2 weeks. Her personal tablet was cracked but working. Jisoo turned on the tablet and checked the planet data. Pyra 4 had days that were burning hot and nights that froze. The air had too little oxygen for humans to breathe without help. Her pod suit had an air filter that would work for about a month if she was careful. She looked out the cracked window of the pod. The sky was a strange orange color. Rocky ground stretched out in all directions with patches of red plant-like growth. In the distance, tall mountains rose up, their peaks hidden in clouds. "I need to call for help," Jisoo said to herself. She found the emergency beacon and tried to turn it on. It flickered once, then went dark. Jisoo checked her tablet again. The Horizon had been destroyed. Her pod was the only one that had launched in time. The company that sent them, Stellar Research Conglomerate, would be getting an automatic distress signal from her pod, but they were far away. It would take weeks for help to arrive, even if they sent someone right away. She sent a message through her tablet. "This is Dr. Jisoo Park. I survived the crash on Pyra 4. Need immediate help. Injured, but alive. Low supplies." Then she waited for a reply. Hours passed. The orange sky turned red as the sun began to set. The temperature dropped quickly. Jisoo put on her thermal layers and tried to seal the cracks in the pod with emergency tape. Finally, her tablet beeped. A message had arrived. Hope filled Jisoo's heart as she opened it. "Dr. Park, this is Director Cho at SRC headquarters. We have received your distress signal. However, after reviewing the situation, we have determined that a rescue mission to Pyra 4 is economically unfeasible. The planet's hostile environment presents too many risks for a retrieval team. Your research and data have been backed up to our servers. Your contract includes acknowledgement of risk in deep space exploration. Your family will receive standard compensation. We honor your contribution to science. Message ends." Jisoo read the message 3 times. Each time the words hurt more. They were not coming for her. She was being left to die because saving her would cost too much money. The sun sank lower. Through the window, Jisoo could see the first stars appearing in the darkening sky. The temperature dropped further. Her breath made small clouds in the air. The pod's emergency heater was working, but barely. Jisoo tried to think clearly. She had to survive. Maybe she could fix the beacon. Maybe another ship would pass by. Maybe the company would change their minds. A sudden noise outside made her freeze. Something was moving around the pod. Jisoo reached for the only weapon she had, a small utility knife. Her heart beat fast as she listened to the scratching sounds. Then she saw it through the window. A creature about the size of a large dog was walking around the crash site. It had 6 legs and moved with grace over the rocky ground. Its body was covered in thick fur that seemed to glow softly in the growing darkness. Its face was pointed like a fox from Earth, with alert ears and bright, intelligent eyes. The creature stopped and stared directly at Jisoo. Its fur changed color slightly, glowing brighter in some places and dimmer in others. It made no threatening moves. It simply watched her with what seemed like curiosity. Jisoo stared back, her scientific mind taking over despite her fear. This was a new species, something no human had ever documented up close. The creature's fur seemed to be giving off its own light, patterns flowing across its body like waves. Suddenly, the creature's ears perked up. It looked away from the pod toward the horizon. Without a sound, it darted behind some rocks and disappeared. Moments later, Jisoo heard a new sound, a low rumble that grew louder. The ground began to shake. Through the window, she saw why the fox creature had run away. A wall of fire was moving across the plain toward her. Not just normal fire, but a rolling wave of blue and orange flames that seemed to flow like water. The firestorm that the research data had warned about. The heat of the day had built up until the very air caught fire, creating a moving wall of death. And the crash pod was directly in its path. Jisoo tried to stand, but her injured leg gave way. The emergency beacon was still dead. The pod systems were failing as night fell. The firestorm drew closer. She could feel its heat even through the pod walls. In the distance, hidden among the rocks, a pair of glowing eyes watched the human and the approaching flames. The fox creature had not gone far. It tilted its head as if making a decision. Then, slowly, it began to move back toward the crash pod and the helpless human inside. The firestorm grew closer. Heat pushed through the cracks in the escape pod. Jisoo tried again to stand, but her leg would not hold her weight. Sweat ran down her face as she looked for anything that might help her. The pod's door made a strange sound. At first, Jisoo thought it was the metal warping from the heat. Then she realized something was scratching at the door from outside. The emergency release lever moved on its own. The door slid open with a hiss. Standing there was the fox-like creature she had seen earlier. Up close, it was even more amazing. Its fur glowed with soft blue and white patterns that shifted and changed. Its 6 legs ended in nimble paws. Its eyes were large and golden, watching Jisoo with clear intelligence. Jisoo froze. All her training about alien wildlife told her to be careful, but she was trapped with the fire coming. She had no choice but to trust that this creature was not here to hurt her. The fox made a soft chirping sound. It stepped into the pod and moved toward Jisoo. She held her breath. The creature sniffed at her injured leg, then looked up at her face. Its fur patterns changed, glowing brighter around its head. Then it did something Jisoo could never have expected. It turned around and crouched low to the floor, looking back at her. It was clear what the fox wanted. "You want me to get on your back?" Jisoo asked, knowing the creature couldn't understand her words. The fox chirped again and moved closer to her. The firestorm was almost upon them now. Heat filled the pod. Jisoo had no other options. With great effort, she pulled herself onto the fox's back. The creature was stronger than it looked. It stood up easily under her weight. Its fur was warm and surprisingly soft. "Okay," Jisoo said, holding tight. "I don't know if you understand me, but thank you." The fox moved quickly, out of the pod. The moment they were outside, Jisoo felt the terrible heat of the firestorm. The sky was red with flames. The ground itself seemed to be burning. She pulled her suit hood over her head and activated her air filter. Even with protection, the heat was almost too much to bear. The fox ran away from the fire. Its 6 legs moved in perfect rhythm, carrying Jisoo with surprising speed and smoothness. She looked back to see her escape pod engulfed in blue flames. If she had stayed, she would have died. They ran for what seemed like hours. The fox never slowed down or showed signs of getting tired. It seemed to know exactly where it was going, following a path only it could see. Away from the fire, toward the distant mountains. Finally, when the firestorm was far behind them, the fox slowed down. They were in a strange landscape of tall, rock formations. The ground was covered with the same red plant-like growth Jisoo had seen before. The fox carefully picked its way through the rocks until they came to a small opening in the ground. The fox stopped and crouched down. Jisoo slid off its back, careful not to put weight on her bad leg. The fox moved to the opening, which Jisoo now saw was the entrance to a cave. The creature looked back at her and made its chirping sound again. "You want me to go in there?" Jisoo asked. The fox's ears perked up at her voice. It stepped into the cave, and then looked back, waiting. Jisoo hesitated. The cave was dark and unknown, but the fox had already saved her life once. And night was coming. The temperature would drop dangerously low soon. She needed shelter. Using the wall for support, Jisoo limped into the cave. Inside, it was surprisingly warm. The cave went deeper than she expected, forming a tunnel that sloped gently downward. The fox's glowing fur provided enough light to see by. After a short distance, the tunnel opened into a larger space. Jisoo gasped. The cave was beautiful. Crystal formations on the walls and ceiling caught the light from the fox's fur and reflected it around the room. In the center was a nest-like area made of soft red plant fibers. Against one wall was a small pool of clear water. The fox went to the water and dipped its paw in, then looked at Jisoo. She understood. The fox was showing her that there was water to drink. Jisoo limped to the pool and tested the water with her suit's sensor. To her surprise, it was safe for humans. "Thank you," she said to the fox as she drank. The cool water felt wonderful after the heat of the firestorm. The fox watched her with interest. Its fur patterns shifted constantly, especially when Jisoo spoke. She wondered if the patterns were a form of communication. The fox moved to the nest and lay down, still watching her. Jisoo's scientific mind began to work. This creature was clearly intelligent. It had saved her on purpose. It had brought her to safety and shown her water. This was not the behavior of a simple animal. This was something more. "I should give you a name," Jisoo said, sitting down near the nest. "I'm Jisoo Park." She pointed to herself. The fox tilted its head. Its fur glowed brighter around its face. "And you are?" Jisoo thought for a moment. "Day. It means great in my language because you did a great thing by saving me." The fox, Day, made a soft sound that was almost like a purr. It seemed to like the name. Jisoo checked her injured leg. The bleeding had stopped, but the pain was still bad. She took some medicine from her small med kit and applied a fresh bandage. Then she checked her tablet. There was no signal this deep in the cave. The company's message was still there, reminding her that no human help was coming. "Well, Day," she said softly, "it looks like it's just you and me." That night, as the temperature outside dropped to freezing, Jisoo lay in the warm cave. Her leg throbbed with pain. She was stranded on an alien planet. Her own species had abandoned her. But she was not alone. In the soft glow of Day's fur, Jisoo watched as the fox curled up beside her. The warmth of its body helped fight off the chill. Its steady breathing was somehow comforting. "Why did you help me?" Jisoo whispered, not expecting an answer. Day looked at her with those golden eyes. Its fur patterns changed slowly, creating a gentle wave of light that moved from its head to its tail. Then it rested its head on its paws and closed its eyes. As Jisoo drifted into sleep, she wondered what tomorrow would bring. She was the first human to make contact with an intelligent species on Pyra 4. But more than that, she had found a friend in the most unexpected place. Outside, the night grew colder. Stars filled the orange sky. Somewhere in the distance, the firestorm continued its path across the plains. But in the crystal cave, Jisoo Park slept safely, protected by a creature that humans had never known existed. A fox that had carried her through fire when no human would. Days passed in the crystal cave. Jisoo's leg slowly began to heal. Each morning, Day would leave the cave and return with food. The fox brought strange fruits and roots that Jisoo tested with her suit sensors before eating. Most were safe for humans and tasted better than her emergency rations. Jisoo learned to move around the cave using a walking stick she made from a broken piece of equipment. She spent her time studying Day and making notes on her tablet. "The patterns in your fur mean something, don't they?" Jisoo asked one day as she watched the lights move across Day's body. "It's how you communicate." Day sat in front of her, ears perked up. The fox always seemed to pay close attention when Jisoo spoke, even though it couldn't understand her words. Jisoo had an idea. She picked up a small stone and drew a simple picture on the cave floor. It was a stick figure of a human. "Jisoo," she said, pointing to the drawing, then to herself. Day looked at the drawing, then at Jisoo. The fox's fur glowed brightly. Then Day used its paw to make marks next to Jisoo's drawing. They were not random scratches. They looked like a set of wavy lines that reminded Jisoo of the patterns in Day's fur. "Is that your name?" Jisoo asked, in wonder. "In your language?" Day made a happy chirping sound. Its fur glowed in a pattern that Jisoo was beginning to recognize as excitement. Over the next few days, they developed a simple way to communicate. Jisoo would draw pictures, and Day would respond with fur patterns and sounds. Jisoo began to understand that certain patterns meant specific things. A ripple from head to tail was a greeting. A bright flash around the ears was danger. A slow glow that spread out from the center of Day's back seemed to be happiness. One day, Day led Jisoo deeper into the cave system. They walked through tunnels until they reached a large room with a high ceiling. On the walls were hundreds of marks similar to what Day had drawn. They looked old, made by many paws over a long time. "This is your people's place," Jisoo said, softly. "You're not just an animal, your species has a culture, a language." Day walked to one section of the wall and pointed with its nose. Jisoo looked closely. Among the marks were crude drawings that made her heart beat faster. They showed figures that looked like humans. Some were drawn with round objects that could be ships. In one place there was a drawing that seemed to show one of Day's kind being carried away by humans. "Humans have been here before," Jisoo whispered. "My company lied. They knew about your kind." Day made a low sound that Jisoo had never heard before. The fox's fur darkened except for a few bright spots. Jisoo thought it might be sadness or anger. Back in the main cave, Jisoo checked her tablet again. Her food supplies were running low, and there was still no response from anyone to her distress calls. Her leg was better, but walking long distances was still painful. That night, Jisoo woke up feeling hot. Her head hurt and her body felt weak. She tried to sit up, but the cave seemed to spin around her. She fell back onto the nest, breathing hard. Day was instantly alert. The fox came close, sniffing at Jisoo's face. Its fur showed patterns Jisoo had learned meant worry. "I think I'm sick," Jisoo said weakly. She checked her suit sensors. Her temperature was too high. She had a fever. Jisoo knew this was bad. Without proper medicine, a sickness could kill her. She had used up most of her med kit treating her leg. What she needed was in the emergency supplies that had been in her crash pod, but that was destroyed by the firestorm. Day paced around the cave, its fur showing patterns of distress. Then the fox seemed to make a decision. It came to Jisoo and nudged her hand with its nose. "What is it?" Jisoo asked. Day walked to the cave entrance, then looked back at her. It was clear the fox wanted to go somewhere. "I can't go with you," Jisoo said. "I'm too sick." Day made a chirping sound, then left the cave alone. Hours passed. Jisoo drifted in and out of sleep. Her fever got worse. She drank water from the pool when she could reach it, but most of the time she lay in the nest, too weak to move. Finally, she heard the familiar sound of Day's paws on the cave floor. The fox had returned, and it was carrying something in its mouth. Jisoo squinted in the dim light. It was her emergency medical kit from the crash pod. "Day," Jisoo said in amazement. "You went back to the pod? Through fire country for me?" Day dropped the med kit beside her. The fox's fur was singed in places. There were small burns on two of its paws. It had risked its life to get the medicine Jisoo needed. With shaking hands, Jisoo opened the kit. Inside was the advanced medicine she needed. She took the proper dose and lay back, waiting for it to work. Day curled up beside her, seeming to understand that it needed to keep her warm. "Why?" Jisoo asked quietly. "Why help me when humans have hurt your kind before?" Day looked at her with those intelligent golden eyes. Slowly, a pattern formed in its fur. It was a new pattern, one Jisoo had never seen before. It started at Day's heart and spread outward in gentle waves. Jisoo didn't know exactly what it meant, but she felt it deeply. It was a connection, a bond. Two different beings from different worlds who had found each other. The next morning, Jisoo's fever was gone. The medicine had worked. She sat up and looked at Day, who was still sleeping beside her. In the light, she could see that the fox was smaller than others of its kind might be. Its fur patterns were different too, based on the drawings she had seen on the cave walls. "You're different," Jisoo said softly. "Like me. An outsider." Day woke up and stretched its 6 legs. Its burns were healing already. The fox seemed happy to see Jisoo feeling better. Using her walking stick, Jisoo moved to the cave entrance and looked outside. The orange sky was clear. Today, in the distance, she could see the mountains more clearly than before. "We're both alone here," Jisoo said. "Both rejected by our own kinds. But we found each other." She turned to look at Day, who was watching her closely. "Thank you for saving my life." Again. Day's fur glowed with the heart pattern Jisoo had seen the night before. The fox came to stand beside her, looking out at the alien landscape. In that moment, Jisoo felt a strange peace. She was stranded on a deadly planet. She might never see Earth or another human again. But she had found something rare and precious. Understanding across the gulf of species. A connection that went beyond words or even worlds. Her scientific mind told her to document everything. To record this first contact for the history books that might never read it. But her heart told her to simply be present in this moment. To honor the bond she had formed with this alien being who had shown more humanity than the humans who abandoned her. Jisoo reached down and gently touched Day's head. The fox leaned into her touch, its fur glowing warmly. 2 outcasts, 2 survivors, 2 friends. A month passed in the crystal cave. Jisoo's leg had healed enough for her to walk without pain. Her sickness was gone. But new problems had appeared. Her air filters were wearing out. Her suit power was getting low. And worst of all, her tablet showed that the planet's fire season was coming. Soon even the cave would not be safe. One morning, Jisoo sat at the cave entrance with Day beside her. She was looking at her damaged emergency beacon. "If I can get this to high ground," she explained to Day, "it might send a signal to passing ships, but it needs power." She pointed to the mountains in the distance. "And there's a human science station on that peak. It was abandoned years ago, but it might have power cells I can use." Day listened as always, golden eyes watching Jisoo's face as she spoke. "The problem is getting there," Jisoo continued. "We would have to cross the fire plains." She pointed to the wide open area between their cave and the mountains. "That's where the firestorms are worst. Even with my suit, I might not survive." Hue stood up. The fox walked a few steps toward the fire plains, then looked back at Jisoo. The message was clear. Day would take her there. "It's too dangerous," Jisoo said. "I've seen your burns from last time. The fire plains are much worse." But Day was determined. The fox's fur showed the pattern Jisoo had learned meant decision or resolve. There was no changing Day's mind. They prepared for the journey. Jisoo packed her remaining food and water. She fixed her suit as best she could and made sure the beacon was secure in a protective case. Dee led her to a place where special leaves grew. The fox showed Jisoo how to wrap them around exposed skin for protection from heat. Early the next morning, they set out. Jisoo rode on Dee's back as they had done when they first met. The fox moved quickly across the rocky ground toward the fire plains. As they got closer, Jisoo could feel the heat growing. The air shimmered. The ground itself seemed to pulse with hidden fire. Day slowed down, carefully choosing a path. Then, they heard a sound, a chorus of chirps and calls. Day stopped and stood very still. Jisoo looked around nervously. From behind the rocks came 6 foxes like Day. They were larger, their fur patterns more uniform. They surrounded Jisoo and Day, their golden eyes fixed on the human. "More of your kind," Jisoo whispered. The largest fox stepped forward. Its fur glowed with patterns Jisoo had never seen before. Complex, powerful patterns that made Day lower its head slightly. Day's fur began to glow in response. A conversation was happening in light and pattern that Jisoo could not understand. The large fox made sounds that seemed angry. Day stood its ground, fur flashing quickly. Then the large fox turned its attention to Jisoo. It came close, sniffing her. Jisoo stayed very still. She had no weapons and she knew these creatures were smart and potentially dangerous. "Hello," she said softly. "My name is Jisoo." The large fox's ears perked up at her voice. Its fur patterns changed. It seemed surprised that she could speak. Day moved between Jisoo and the large fox. More light patterns flowed between them. The other foxes watched, their own fur glowing softly. Finally, the large fox stepped back. It made a sound like a low growl, then turned and walked away. The other foxes followed, disappearing behind the rocks. "What happened?" Jisoo asked Day. "What did you tell them?" Day looked at her, fur still glowing with fading patterns. Jisoo wished she could understand the complex language of light. But one thing was clear. Day had protected her again. They continued their journey. The fire plains stretched out before them, a vast area of blackened ground and shimmering heat. Fire jets shot up randomly from cracks in the surface. The air was thick with smoke and heat. Day moved carefully, avoiding the most dangerous areas. Jisoo's suit temperature alerts kept going off. She was sweating heavily inside her suit. But Day seemed to know exactly where to go, following a path that only the fox could see. Halfway across, disaster struck. A hidden fire jet erupted directly in their path. Day jumped back, but not fast enough. Flames caught the fox's front leg. Day stumbled and Jisoo fell off, landing hard on the hot ground. Her suit alarm screamed warnings. The heat was too much. Part of her suit began to melt. Jisoo cried out in pain as the heat reached her skin. Day, despite its own injury, rushed to Jisoo. The fox nudged her up, pushing its body under hers. Jisoo managed to climb back onto Day's back. "Your leg," Jisoo gasped. "You're hurt." But Day ignored the burn and started running. The fox's 6 legs moved in a new pattern, compensating for the injured one. They had to get across the fire plains before Jisoo's suit failed completely. The journey became a blur of heat and pain. Jisoo held on as Day ran faster than she thought possible. Fire jets erupted all around them. The ground cracked open, revealing molten rock beneath. The air itself seemed to burn. Jisoo's vision began to darken. Her suit was failing. She could feel the terrible heat on her skin. She was losing consciousness. The last thing she remembered was Day's fur glowing brighter than she had ever seen it, as if the fox was putting all its energy into one final effort. When Jisoo woke up, the air was cool. The ground beneath her was soft grass, not burning rock. She opened her eyes slowly. They had made it across the fire plains. They were at the base of the mountains. Day lay beside her, breathing heavily. The fox's injured leg was badly burned, and its fur was singed in many places. But those golden eyes were alert, watching over Jisoo. "You did it," Jisoo said weakly. "You got us through." She checked her suit. It was badly damaged, but had kept her alive. Her own arms had some burns. Painful, but not life-threatening. She took out her medkit and treated both her burns and Day's injured leg. As she worked, she heard chirping sounds. Looking up, she saw more foxes watching from a distance. They were different from the group they had met earlier. These foxes were all sizes, some with young ones. They stayed back, curious but cautious. "Your people live here too," Jisoo said to Day. Day made a soft sound. Its fur patterns were dim, energy spent from the difficult journey. One of the watching foxes, smaller than the rest, came forward slightly. Its fur showed patterns similar to Day's. It chirped a greeting. Day responded, fur brightening a little. "Friend of yours?" Jisoo asked. More foxes came closer, their fur patterns all slightly different from each other. They seemed to be talking to Day in their light language. Some looked at Jisoo with clear curiosity. Others seemed more wary. Jisoo realized what was happening. These foxes were different from the group they had met earlier. They were outsiders too, like Day, different in some way from the main group. "They're like you," Jisoo said softly. "Different. Special." Day's fur glowed with the heart pattern that Jisoo had come to recognize as affection or connection. The fox was home among its own kind. As night fell, the group of foxes led Jisoo and Day to a sheltered area at the base of the mountain. There was fresh water and plants to eat. The foxes made a circle, their glowing fur providing light and warmth. Jisoo sat with Day beside her, watching the beautiful light show as the foxes communicated with each other. She couldn't understand their language, but she could feel the acceptance. These outcasts had formed their own community, and now they had accepted two more outcasts, a fox with unusual patterns and a human far from home. In the morning, they would begin the climb up the mountain to the abandoned science station. Jisoo's beacon might work from there. Help might finally come. But tonight, under the orange sky of Pyra 4, surrounded by the gentle glow of fox fur, Jisoo felt something she had not expected to feel again. She felt at home. The climb up the mountain took 3 days. Jisoo's burns hurt with every step. Day limped on its injured leg, but they kept going, helped by the group of outcast foxes who showed them the safest paths. On the 3rd day, they reached the abandoned science station. It was small, just a few metal buildings half buried in the mountainside. The door was locked, but Jisoo found a broken window to climb through. Inside, everything was covered in dust. The station had been empty for years. Jisoo searched through the rooms looking for anything useful. In a storage room, she found what she needed, power cells that still had some charge left. "This might work," she told Day, who was watching through the window. "If I can connect these to the beacon, it might send a signal strong enough to reach orbit." Jisoo worked quickly. She connected the power cells to her emergency beacon and set it up on the station's roof. The mountain peak gave her the height she needed. She activated the beacon and held her breath. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the beacon began to blink. It was working. "Now we wait," Jisoo said, sitting down beside Day. "If any ship passes near Pyra 4, they'll hear our call." Days passed. Jisoo explored the science station and found old records. They confirmed what she had suspected. Her company had known about the fox creatures all along. The records called them Hua, meaning light in the old researchers' language. The station had been abandoned when the company decided that studying the Hua was not profitable enough. One evening, as Jisoo sat outside watching the sunset with Day and several other Hua, her tablet beeped. A message had arrived. "This is Captain Taewon Han of the research vessel New Horizon. We have received your emergency beacon. Can you confirm your identity and status?" Jisoo stared at the message in shock. Someone had heard her. Someone was coming. "This is Dr. Jisoo Park," she replied, "sole survivor of the Horizon crash. I am alive and in need of evacuation." The response,